Hey everybody, Robert Ketzel with Real Estate Professionals, and
hey everybody,
coming
Rob
to
Sipes.
you in the driver's seat, Mr. Rob Sipes. So he's got to kind of keep his eye on the road, so don't look at the camera too much, Rob.
Yeah, I'll try not to.
And I think the last time we shot a video in the car, well actually that was the first time we shot a video in the car, I think there was a few comments that you took your hands off the wheel quite a bit while you were driving, so let's...
Well, I'm stopped right now, so I'm good.
let's keep it safe.
And no coffee to spill.
No coffee to spill. So we just got done looking at the property at 621 Melville Avenue in Baltimore. It's in the Waverly neighborhood. The appraised value is $39,000 and as is condition. Your half price, of course. If you have a calculator or don't have a calculator, it's still going to end up being the same. $19,500, which is dirt cheap.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for it.
Yeah.
Let's face it, Rob. It's a piece of junk.
It is structurally sound, but it's definitely going to need, a lot of work. But that's the beauty of it. You can customize it and make it exactly what you want it to be.
Yeah, it's a brick home. It was built in the 20s, but it is solid. And the thing I like about that townhouse is the fact that it's got 1,280 square feet.
Yeah.
And a lot of the townhomes in the area are about 1,000 square feet. So you got about an additional 250 to 300 square feet that the other ones don't have. And that means a lot. I mean, it's like 20% more in, homes in the area.
Yeah.
And the other thing we like about it is the fact that there's a house 3 doors down that actually sold in July of last year for $154,500. It's the exact same house. Same size. Obviously, it was renovated. So you're going to have to do a substantial amount of renovation to 621 Melville to get it to that level. But it is possible. We're kind of estimating the cost to be, what do we say, 75?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's safe to put it there, just because of the amount of work that's going to be needed on the, the walls. You're definitely going to need a new kitchen, bath, all that stuff. And since it's a 4-bedroom, the bedrooms they're a decent size, but you're probably going to want to put the master either in the back or in the front, which I think if you remove one of those walls would make a terrific master, because it would be like 20 by 13 or something like that. Yeah,
20 by 12, 20 by 13, somewhere around there. And the other thing too is that due to the low ceiling height in the basement, you don't have to worry about spending money finishing the basement. And the one at 627 Melville sold, it was an unfinished basement as well. So we don't have to worry about the fact that they had a finished basement and we don't. They're identical properties pretty much, except for condition.
Yeah.
So obviously there's a substantial amount of renovation. All those costs can be rolled into the loan. So you really need no money out of your own pocket on this thing. It's just getting a good contractor. And good contractors can be a little hard to find.
Yeah, they can be tough. And that's, contractors, when it comes to these kinds of homes, are key. Getting them in there, getting solid estimates.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but let's talk about that for just 1 second.
Okay.
We have had, so one of our services to you that we provide is that if you choose to purchase a good neighbor next door house, you put it under contract, and it's a property that's going to be renovated, we will bring you typically at least 1 to 2 renovation bids from contractors we work with, that we have experience with, whose pricing is reasonable, and they're going to get their bid together quickly. We sometimes have the, I'm sorry.
Yeah, they're familiar with the program, so they know how it works, which is good.
Well, we encourage clients to get their own contractors, but that turns out to be a real, can I just say it, a real shit fest. Because these contractors have no idea of time deadlines, and in many situations, they've screwed up the process for the borrowers by either not getting things together, or they come up with estimates that are just totally unrealistic.
Yeah. And a lot of times people are like, hey, I got a good contractor. It's a referral from a friend. They're a lot of times they're not familiar with the HUD process, 203Ks, draws, things like that. They can actually ruin your deal. So I always encourage folks, if you're going to bring your own contractor to the table, that's fine, but you want to make sure that they are very professional, that they run a good business, which means you got to interview them, ask questions, and that they're very familiar with HUD and the 203K process.
And importantly, the fact that they're actually going to get you a bid in a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah,
we've had contractors that they want to bring every sub that they work with into the property, and they just delay things. And then when they do come up with a bid, you know, we might have a contractor bid for one of our clients at 40 grand, let's say, to rehab the house, and they come up with a bid of 65.
Yeah.
You know, literally 50% higher, and then we had to wait a ridiculous amount of time to get the bid.
Yeah. And time is precious with these deals. You know, typically with these 203Ks, which are these rehab loans, you know, HUD originally gives you like 60 days to get a deal done, but they'll give you some extra time because it is the process of gathering estimates and getting your bids together and things like that. So, and you know, it's a timely process, and it's important. Time is of the essence. So you really want to have people in place, especially with these homes that need work, where things are getting done in a timely fashion. It's very important. It really is.
Yeah, it definitely is. So the contractors can make or break you. And as I said, we would definitely bring you 1 to 2 bids on a property, all depending on the level of rehab. And you're certainly welcome to bring your own people in. You just have to let them know right from the beginning, look, if you're going to come up with a ridiculously high price, don't waste your time. And secondly, well, what do we think the turnaround time is? If we show the contractor the property, a lot of times they can look at our walkthrough videos and get an idea of the general condition and prepare a rough bid before they actually have to take the time to measure and get down to the nitty-gritty.
Honestly, reasonable. I mean, a reasonable amount of time. And sometimes we got to prod our own, you know, our own guys that we know and refer. We got to prod them because, you know, these guys are not large companies, which is good because they keep their overhead down.
Right. That's important.
And that's very important. So there's not a lot of middlemen to pay. So they're out there swinging hammers and doing stuff. They want to spend time with their families too. But, you know, sometimes we got to prod down. But I'd say really bids shouldn't really be any more than 10 days once met with a customer.
Yeah, and it really should be less than that. But yeah, no more than 10
Ideally
days.
7, no more than 10.
Right. No, yeah, I definitely agree with that. So,
well, let's talk a little bit about that area, Rob, at the 621 Melville. It's in the Waverly area, not too far from Edner Gardens. The old Memorial Stadium's right up the street. Yeah. It's a neat, quaint little area.
To the east of York, Old York Road, and we ran comps around there, and we put them on the website. But the comps, I mean, there's houses within 1 to 2 blocks of there selling for up to $195. That's definitely on the high end, and we wouldn't say that this is what this house would be worth.
Right.
But there's other homes that have sold, literally the one 3 doors down that went for $154,500. There was another one that went for $125,000, but it really wasn't that great on the inside. They called it a renovation, but when you looked at it, it was kind of like, like it was maybe a formal rental property that they just, you know, put a little bit of lipstick on the pig is the way of looking at it.
Right, right. So these I call these the diamonds in the rough. These homes can be lucrative. You know, once you settle on these houses, HUD gives you 6 months to fix these properties up. And the nice thing is, if you don't want to, you know, if you don't want to rent and pay mortgage at the same time, the lender will allow you to put up to 6 months of mortgage payments into your loan.
Yeah,
so that
typically
way,
these properties are not going to take 6 months.
Yeah,
that's
usually
extreme.
3 to 4 if it's a major rehab.
Right.
But it's nice because you can stay where you are.
You can roll your payments into the loan.
You can roll your payments
so
so you don't have to double up. You can stay where you are, have peace when you get up. You don't have contractors working around you. And then when they're all done, it's like, hey, we're done, and it's like moving into a new home. It's actually a pretty cool experience. So, you know.
Well, and let's talk about that for 1 second, because we get people to say, well, geez, I'm buying the property for $19,500. After rolling all these costs in there, I'm gonna have a mortgage of over $100,000. You know, somewhere between $100,000 and $110,000, let's say.
Right.
And it's only worth $154,500. And I go, what? What do you mean? You got $45,000 in equity in that situation, and the person that bought the home down the street has $0 in equity.
And Rob, talk a little bit about how long it takes to recoup in this. I mean, in any market, when you buy a home,
yeah. So,
what, 5 to 10 years before you really see, 5 years just to recoup your cost, 10 years before you see any kind of profit at all.
So the people that bought that home for $154,500, not taking into account any future appreciation, I mean, it'd probably take them 7 to 10 years to pay the loan down enough just to be able to pay the settlement expenses involved in selling a property to basically sell it and break even.
To recoup their outlay from the beginning, yeah.
I mean, that's I guess that's okay if you plan on being in the place for a while, but if you don't, not good.
Well, the nice thing about this, and I don't know if we talked about this before, I think we did in our last video, the nice thing about these homes is that after 3 years, you only have to wait 3 years, not 7 to 10.
30, well, on renovation, it needs to be 42 months.
Yeah, because HUD sets
They add
back
6 months onto it because they figure it takes you 6 months to fix the house up.
That is correct.
So 42 months from the date you close on the property, and you'll be able to sell it and walk away with the proceeds tax-free. So worst case scenario on a house like that, I mean, I'm talking worst case scenario, I would think, would be you're going to have a property that's in move-in condition, that's going to be awesome on the inside. Your monthly payment's going to be no more than $850-ish. And that's rolling everything into the loan, taxes, insurance, everything in there. So a monthly payment of no more than $850, which is obviously ridiculous, compared to ridiculously low compared to rents. And then to top it off, you're going to be able to sell the property in 42 months and walk away with something. Let's figure the low end, 30 grand.
Yeah.
But up to probably 45.
Yeah. And that typically is not something that is done. Like the person up this just 3 houses up or whatever it was who bought that house for $155, in 3 years from now, they're not going to make 50 grand on that house.
Nope.
Because they bought it for what it was worth.
Well, they're not going to make anything on it.
They paid market value.
And there's nothing wrong with that. That's
not
what people typically do.
That's what real estate is, except this Good Neighbor Next Door program. That's what's so beautiful about it. And government is incentivizing you to come in here, and you can, it's like handing you a check and saying, hey, you get to cash this in 3 years.
Well, we talk about people making sometimes $100,000.
And it's true, they do.
It does happen, but I mean, even if you made $20,000, so long as you're living in an area that's okay to you, that you like,
and you're comfortable coming home every day, walking into your home,
it totally makes sense.
Absolutely, with a nice slower payment. And let's talk a little bit about, just for a second, Rob, rents that people are paying in the area.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah. In a home like that, let's say they had a house like that and they were renting it versus owning it.
Oh my gosh!
They would be renovated
like that. Renovated. I mean, anywhere from probably $1,200 to $1,500. Renovated and in good condition. So, you're talking about a monthly payment of $850 compared to a low of $1,250 on rent. So,
if they're in a situation like that now, where they're paying $1,200 a month in rent, and they can move into a property that's $850, $900 a month.
They're going to sell the property and make money, but then they're actually going to
save $350, $400 a month.
Right.
Which in the next 3 years too.
Which they can obviously put in the savings or spend on something else.
Absolutely.
So look, I guess we got to wrap it up here, and we just wanted to remind you that we are the Good Neighbor Next Door experts. We have closed at this point 144 Good Neighbor Next Door homes for families, and we've changed people's lives. So do not trust anybody else with this process. If you have questions about the Good Neighbor program, you're welcome to reach out to us at any time. You can reach Rob always by phone at 410-299-1051. And as I said, we really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video, and we hope you guys have a great day.
Have a great Saturday.